Bishop, this weekend we celebrate Mother's Day. Very dear to all our hearts, of course. The roles of mothers have changed so much. You know, the things that, we saw in our own mothers when we were young are totally different from the way mothers are today. How do you see the roles of women and the roles of mothers changing today?
Well, most women now are in the workforce. Besides being mothers, they have to go out to work. Usually it's two salaries that make a family whole today. It's very difficult for many families to survive on one salary. So women are good at multitasking. Men are not so good at it. And women are able to do a lot of things. I mean, to run a household, take care of children. Now, there's help today that there weren't in the past. There's daycares. There's other things that allow them to go to work. Gives them a sense of fulfillment in the workplace, but also they have that responsibility to be homemakers and mothers and wives. So they do a lot of things, a lot of difficult things sometimes.
Mm-hmm. What is it though that's the consistent role of a mother that it predates our modern times and it's the same today as yesterday? What is it about a mother?
Mother shows love to her offspring. That's the key thing. If a mother doesn't show love to her children, well, then there's difficulty. The children have a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. So that's the consistent role of a mother. Mother shows love, acceptance, nurturing. These are the maternal roles that are very important.
Mm-hmm. Today there's a lot of confusion about the roles of men and women, fathers and mothers, and the church offers to us this concept of complementarity. Can you explain to us a little bit about what that means and why is that so important in today's world?
Well, complementarity has its basis in biology. Men and women come together and they're able together to have offspring. That's the complementary part of husband and wife, man and woman, male and female. But theologically also, there's a complementarity that is exercised in the different roles and personalities of man and woman. God made them male and female. We heard that from the book of Genesis. Clearly we see that there was a complementarity that was put there by God from the beginning, that they supported one another, that woman was a helpmate to man, but at the same time, a man was to love his wife as himself, as we see clearly in the New Testament. So that's the complementarity we're talking about.
Why is that such a difficult concept for us to grasp today? It seems like, we want to talk about equality. We want to make men and women the same, equal rights, same rights.
Well, they are equal. There's no difference that one is more different from the other. But they complement one another at the same time. Being equals, they complement one another. I love the story that the rabbis tell. It's a Talmudic story about why God created man from a man's rib, as the story says. So they had a choice. He could have taken a bone from man's head, and then the woman would have dominated man. That happens sometimes too. That's all right. Or he could have taken it from man's foot, and then the woman would have been dominated by man as a slave. And that happens in our world today, unfortunately, too. But he took her from the rib, so that he would always remember that the woman was his equal, and he had to love her because it was near his heart. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. In the olden days, so to speak, back when we used to think that mothers should have as many children as they possibly can. And the Holy Father recently got into a little trouble because he said human beings shouldn't breed like rabbits. So how do we look at that differently today, like how many children couples should have and how many children?
Well, going right back to Humani Vitae, Paul VI, it was clear there that we could limit the number of children through natural means, that we just did not have to have as many children as came, so that with the natural means of spacing children, of having children that could be nurtured in a family, that was always taught by the church. There's nothing new that Pope Francis has said. Of course, the way he put it was kind of novel, but the fact that it is church teaching, certainly our modern church, since the discovery of birth control methods, but the church is not against the spacing of children, the limiting of the number of children, when there's a purpose, where there's a reason for it. We have to understand that, again, taking the natural means to this is what the church would approve for us.
Bishop, thanks for sharing your insights on this.